Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. My name is Kim Cafino, and I'm here to help you coach better. After decades as a teacher and coach in international schools, I founded my company, Eduro Learning, to help you recognize and leverage your influential leadership so you can move from feeling like just a teacher to a confident leader in your school community, however that looks for you. I work with clients around the world through our certificate programs and private mentoring packages, and today's episode highlights one of the topics we're often talking about in those communities: professional learning and protocols for conversations. If you have a topic you'd like us to talk about or a guest you'd like to see on the podcast, please leave a comment below, join our Coach Better Facebook group, or find us on social media at Eduro Learning and send me a DM. Today, Clint and I are chatting with Michele Mattoon, Executive Director of the National School Reform Faculty. This spotlight focuses on how coaches and leaders can use protocols for conversations and professional learning. In the full-length episode, we discuss what a protocol is, why they work so well, how to use them effectively, and how to start bringing them into your school culture. If you're ready to have more intentional conversations with individuals, teams, divisions, or a whole school, you don't want to miss this episode. To listen to the full conversation, subscribe to Coach Better wherever you get your podcasts. By the way, Michele is also featured in our Women Who Lead certificate program. So if you'd like to hear more from her, check out the sample week of the course available at edurolearning.com/women. I wanted to ask you, I run a program called The Coach, where I train instructional coaches, K-12 instructional coaches, on being a better coach, essentially learning how to build a thriving coaching culture in their schools. And one of the things I include in that program is an opportunity for them to think about how they might structure intentional conversations, leading professional learning, being intentional in their conversations with their coachees. And one of the resources I share is your website. And it's one of many resources, so people don't always immediately catch it, right? But then I always bring it back up around in our face-to-face conversations like this. And once people catch it, they're like, where has this been all my life? How did I not know about this thing? And so I want to give you an opportunity to share how you see coaches, whether they're instructional coaches or a specific type of coach or leaders, using protocols in their practice, whether it's specifically for professional learning or in intentional conversations. How do you see coaches and leaders using protocols beyond the when we have a problem? Like, obviously, that makes a lot of sense to me. But beyond the when we have a problem we need to solve in a set amount of time, how are they using them in their regular practice? And maybe this gets a little back to the CFG groups as well.
Yeah, I think, the thing about coaches, any kind of coach, is that you are there to really support a person or a group of people, right? And you want to give them the tools that they specifically need. So hopefully, if it's a good coach, it's a very tailored sort of conversation. You're really trying to take that person and help them get to a place where they're improving their own practice, and you're really the support system for them. And of course, you're learning together, but you have the skills that helps them think through their own problems. And I think that one of the things that we teach is so important is questioning. And how do you question people? And there are a lot of different professional development courses that you can take about questioning. But I do think that we rely heavily on that. And, we have 3 or 4 different kinds of questions that we use in our protocols that really are intentionally built to do different things. Especially the probing questions which really aren't about you having an answer. They're really made to make somebody think more deeply about the issue at hand. And because they're thinking they won't have a ready answer, you don't expect them to. They basically go, wow, I need to think about that. And then that's great. So I think that that's really important. I think, having a coach, they often use our protocols to help deliver content if they're trying to teach, I don't know, whatever it is that they're teaching, instructional coaches. And, being able to maybe not use our protocols as is, but really learning like how to group people, how to time them, how to ask them certain questions in certain pieces, how to move them from here's what I'm going to present to you. Let's analyze this and see what we gleaned from it. And then let's think about how we can use that in our practice and then have them use it and then follow up. How did that go? What worked well? What didn't work well? What can we be tuned? What more tools can I give you? If you've had great success in this, let's move on to something else. So that kind of thinking is exactly the kind of thinking that we use in protocols. And that piece of debriefing and really applying, using, and debriefing, that's the gold. Because if you don't have that debrief and then the follow-up, you're missing out on such a huge chunk of learning. Because what's great about a coach is hopefully you will be seeing them again and they will be saying, hey, how did that go? And if you know that somebody is going to ask you that question, you're much more likely to have really tried to do what you've worked out with your coach. So it's just an incredibly nice learning circle of somebody who's there for you and who can help celebrate your successes and, support you with your challenges and just keep you on track to learn, and improve your practice. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about and I'm not going to describe it as well as you did. I'm going to try to make it in my own words and see if we can pull something out of it. But by using a protocol to facilitate professional learning, you are almost studying the structure of how people build understanding, because the protocol is giving you that structure. And in maybe adapting it or even just applying it as written, you're taking a meta view, like a bird's eye view of, this is how this group of people is going to come to an understanding about this thing we're working on. And just doing that process and doing it again and again and refining your skills makes you better at facilitating professional learning overall, because then you understand these are the frameworks, these are the pieces, these are the structures that need to be in place. Yes, I can follow this one word for word, or I can make up my own that is kind of along those lines and will, facilitate this process with all of the essential pieces in place. And I think that's to me, that's a kind of meta view of looking at protocols.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think that, just the collaborative piece of protocols, which we really haven't talked about so much up to this point, but that's such a key piece. The fact that everybody gets their voices heard and we are working together to come up with solutions. And there's no place. This is one of the things that I love dearly about protocols. There's no place ever for anybody to say, no, that's not going to work. We tried that 10 years ago and it didn't work then, so it's not going to work now. There's no place for that. Everybody throws out their solutions and then we analyze them and we take the ones we think are going to work for us. And so there's no place in where we shut down each other's thinking. We don't do that. We honor everybody and what they do. And that doesn't mean we have to take every single idea that comes up, but it means that we hear and we consider and we respect and we create and we build on each other's ideas. And that piece is so important, because when people leave the process, they feel really good. They feel like, I contributed, I helped, I learned from other people, I took stuff away that I might be able to use in my process, even if I wasn't the one who was specifically being helped. But that creates that sense of belonging that's really important. And it really gives us a stake in each other's success. We want that person to succeed because we were there to help them with some solutions. So we really want to know, how did it go? Did it go great? Yay, yay. Or, oh, well, let's try it this way this time, right? So that is a very important piece of the protocols. Some people think, oh, it's such a dry structure. We lose our humanity. And it's the exact opposite. It allows that empathy and those considerations and respect to come out when you're in that process.
I think the important part of that is when they're done well. I think sometimes we've all been in situations where maybe someone didn't put the thought behind it, or they're just like, oh yes, I'm going to pull this protocol off the shelf, and not really think about how it's going to be implemented or who is in the room or why they're doing it. They're doing the protocol for what you were talking about earlier, for the jargon factor of it, to say, well, I have a protocol in my meeting, or I have a protocol in my process. But they haven't really thought about, is this the correct protocol? Am I applying it at the right time with the right people in the right place? And sometimes that will cause the participants to be like, oh, I've done this before. Like, teachers are notorious, right? I've done this once before and it didn't work, so I never want to do it again.
Yeah.
So I think it's really ensuring too that the coaches or the leaders who are using those protocols are implementing them in good faith and with sort of not necessarily 100% proper training, but they really have an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish with that. And I think you talked about the collaboration piece. I think the collaboration piece of planning a meeting with somebody else and being able to say, this is the protocol that I want to use, or I'm thinking about this, and here's what I want, what do you think? And then really digging into, well, why are you using that protocol? What are you hoping to elicit? How do you, expect that conversation to go? And is that going to be helpful? I mean, that to me is gold too. So it gives me a framework that I can have a conversation with somebody else about what I'm trying to accomplish. And we can speak the same language. And I'm confident 100% of the time that my meeting or my process will be better because we've had that conversation around the structures and around the intentional conversations and how we want those to go.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, Clint. I always say, think about the protocols like tools, and, you've got to pick the right one. And maybe you don't need a tool at all, but if you do, make sure that if you pick the hammer, there's a nail. and it's not the saw that you wanted, right? Because that can be disastrous if you use a hammer when you're supposed to be using a saw. Bad idea. And it's the same thing with protocols. You can't just pick one out and just try to force a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work. And the end result is going to be disastrous. You may create an epidemic of eye rolling the next time somebody says the word protocol, and nobody wants that. So there you go.
Thanks for watching this clip with Michele. I hope you found it as valuable as I did. I have been using NSRF Critical Friends Group protocols in my work since the early 2000s, and it has been so great to get to know Michele and hear more about CFG through this conversation and her interview in Women Who Lead. Being able to facilitate professional learning and to have intentional and equitable conversations with colleagues is an essential leadership skill. If this is an area where you would like to grow, we can support you in that next step, as a coach or as you begin your journey to a formal leadership role. One of the things we are most proud of here at Eduro is that there's no one-size-fits-all learning. You always have choice and voice in how you learn with us. Today's video highlights one of the key themes that you'll find in 3 of our programs. And if you're curious to take your learning deeper, we have 3 great options for you right now. If you're just getting started as a coach and you want to learn how to make the mindset and skill set shifts you need to be successful in the role, watch our New to Coaching workshop, which will also tell you about our brand new course, Getting Started as a Coach, which is open for registration right now. So don't wait if this sounds like it's right for you. This course is specifically designed for classroom teachers that are moving into a coaching role. It's focused on exactly the skill set and mindset shifts you need to make to be successful as an instructional coach. If you're already a coach and you want to think about being more intentional and strategic in your practice, watch our workshop on the Thrive Model for Coaching Success, which will help you evaluate your program to see where you may have room to grow, and to help you decide if our year-long certificate and mentorship program, The Coach, is right for you right now. This program is designed for current coaches who are focused on building a coaching culture through intentional and strategic coaching work at all levels, with teachers and school leaders. If you're curious about positional or formal leadership and you want to start leaning into that angle, watch our workshop on the realities women face pursuing a leadership role in education, which features videos from our Women Who Lead interviews, so you can see if Women Who Lead is right for you right now. Women Who Lead is designed for growing and aspiring leaders who are ready to take the next step in their formal leadership practice. Wherever you are in your coaching or leadership journey, we can support you. If you're curious right now and you have questions, please reach out. You can leave a comment below, you can join our Coach Better Facebook group, or find us on social media at Eduro Learning and send me a DM. I'd love to support you in your professional learning journey. See you next time.